Hey, welcome to the Stokastic.com NFL Live Before Lock. Those of you likely coming over from NBA DFS Live Before Lock, reading that straight off the thumbnail. Yo, Joey did a sick job with these thumbnails. Those NBA ones, they look good on YouTube. Little gold trim to them. I like that.
I dig them too.
Very nice. Anyway, glad to have you guys here. It's been a long day. Now it's getting even longer. But you know what? Who am I to complain? I love football, and we only have it for so long. That's what sucks, man. You realize we're almost like midway through the season already?
Yeah, it's gone pretty quick. I mean, it feels like the last NBA season just ended, and it's already NBA again. It's a little bit different because NBA is like 8.5 or 9 months out of the year. But yeah, it does feel like NFL just started and NBA just ended.
It does, man. Anyway, glad to have you guys. Nice to see you. Mason, Loughy, we know you've been here for 20 minutes. Give us what we want. Yeah, I have. I jumped in. First of all, I thought the show was at 7:15 and not 7:30. But nah, man, I love talking about football. Having you guys here hanging out makes it way better as well. It'd be weird if we were talking to ourselves, but glad to have you here. If you don't mind, take a single set. You know the drill. Atone for your sins this evening. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Goes a long way. We appreciate you guys for that. Yo, you guys are on Matlock? Yeah. All right, so here's what happened today, Greg. Spags and I are doing a show, and we're going over the value options on the strategy show, right? And there's this fella who goes by the name, you ready for this, of Matlock, right? Scott Matlock. And I don't know if you have DraftKings pulled up right now, would urge you to do it and just go to his headshot. It's like Kyle Bravlovsky if he did steroids and got older. You got to look at this and then zoom in. It's the greatest thing you'll ever see. So I bet him at 55-1 the score. It was like $5 limit on 100% boost. Oh yeah, by the way, if you want me to add to the lore on Scott Matlock, he's 6'4", 296, and he's listed as a fullback and a defensive lineman.
That, by the way, I have him pulled up right here. That is a pretty good description. If you just aged Kyle a little bit and gave him a little bit of facial hair, that's him.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting Matlock is on steroids. I'm saying that Bravlovsky would have needed to put some work in to become 6'4", 295. This guy's amazing, dude. The true broccoli top with an odd skin fade. You've never seen anything like that before. He's a leprechaun on gear. But anyway, let's get into this. We only have 45 minutes today, so I'll spare you some of the pleasantries. But for real, glad you guys could hang out. We got a tough slate, honestly. Even from a betting angle, I was over on Tails and I threw some bets in. I had a nice 50% super boost. Got the FanDuel $2 million touchdown jackpot. There was another prop that I liked today. I put that up on Tails as well. But all in all, not a game I love, Greg. Like, I don't love either side on this one, on the spread. I don't love the total. It's just a weird game. You do have Aaron Jones in, but I don't know. Like, the Chargers haven't covered since week 2, and the Minnesota Vikings are just one of these teams where Brian Flores' defense can help, and they have a great head coach and offensive guy, minded guy, and Kevin O'Connell. I just don't have a great feel for what direction this game goes. I'm really going to rely on the tools today.
What's really it was already difficult to figure out who the Chargers were going to throw the ball to on a game-to-game basis. Now, all of a sudden, Gadsden, who you were the earliest to Gadsden of anybody that I know. He looks legit as hell. And now it's like, this is the last thing we needed in the Chargers offense. There's another
weapon. I know, exactly.
So, like, we've had these conversations about Ladd McConkey and his overall production being down this year. I don't actually think Ladd McConkey, he had the one, a big breakout game that Quentin Johnson was out. I don't necessarily think that McConkey is considerably worse than last year. Maybe he's playing a little bit worse. He's been dropping the ball a little bit more. He just has so much more competition for targets. You've got Keenan Allen in the mix with Juice back. You've got Quentin Johnson, who's taking a big leap forward. Gadsden looks like a legit player. So I have so many guys that I like from the Chargers offense. I do think that Justin Herbert is going to have a solid game. I like him a lot for DFS. I just have such a difficult time figuring out who it is I want to prioritize in the Chargers passing game because I think they've just got so many good options.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. That's what makes it really tough. Sure, on the Vikings side, there isn't as much to concern ourselves with. You have Justin Jefferson, you have Jordan Addison. Hawkinson's actually a really good price today. I think Hawkinson should be considered and should not go overlooked at all. That's another spot that you have Jalen Naylor and like Thielen, but that doesn't really count. But you're right on the charge. I said it to Spags, like it's the least concentrated offense in the league. Does that make any sense of what I'm saying? Like there's, exactly what I mean, right? There's 4 guys, all of whom any given week could go out there and break a slate. And there's really only 4 guys that they use. They're not going to the rookies right now. They don't need to. But the whole other problem is any given week, any of those 4 guys could go off. And if it were 2 weeks ago, you see Kamani Vidal do it. And Hassan Haskins is out today. They bring up Naeem Hines. They have Travion Williams, former, third stringer for the Bengals. It's a really tough team. So I'm okay spreading everything out. Also, if you look at our projections, and you can pull them up if you want, Greg, I know you're operating the controls on this one. Like if you pull up the projections on guys like McConkey and guys like Quentin Johnston and Keenan Allen, they're all within basically a point of each other.
Yeah, we've got McConkey at 13.6. We've got Keenan Allen at just under 13. We've got Johnston here at 12.2. And then Gadsden a little bit behind at 11 fantasy points. But keep in mind, too, he's quite a bit cheaper than them. And that's still a good projection relative to his salary there. But I totally agree with everything you said in terms of I would be very surprised if it's somebody outside of these guys from the Chargers that had a big game. If it was like, oh, Harris gets work for, like the first time this season when guys are actually healthy, that would really surprise me. It's just the upside is so high for these 4 guys. And the floor is also pretty low too. You know what it's kind of similar to? It's like the West Coast version of the Lions, where the Lions have all these guys to throw the ball to, where like, I think Jameson Williams is great with big play upside. He had 0 catches last week because just other guys, Jahmyr Gibbs has a 78-yard run. Amon-Ra St. Brown scored on a broken play where a defensive back fell down. So you get a game where I don't come out of it being like, oh, Jameson Williams sucks. It's just other guys had big plays and he never got to touch the ball.
Exactly. The only difference is that the Lions have 2 running backs who are viable and one who catches a lot of passes. But aside from that, you're right. J-Mo, St. Brown, Hawkinson, all of those guys get pretty heavily involved. I wanted to mention the inactives here. I think this is pretty important. Sometimes it doesn't matter as much. In a spot like this, I think today, Greg, this is super important that we take a look at the inactives, because if you were to look at the Chargers offensive line, I wasn't sure what we were going to get. But Joe Alt and Trey Pipkins are both active. Outside of Rashawn Slater, who they lost before the season started, for the first time, this offensive line in a while is actually, let's say, healthy outside of, even though he's their best guy, but still, for the most part, they're healthy. Herbert's been pressured the 3rd highest clip among all quarterbacks with at least 100 dropbacks this year. So this is a huge boon, not only for Herbert, but also for the run game and Kamani Vidal, who we were going to get to anyway. On the other side, Darisaw is active, but Brian O'Neill is out, which makes a difference. But I do think it's a pretty big deal to see that Joe Alt and Pipkins are back on that offensive line for the Chargers, and probably very helpful for this offense in general.
Yeah, and this is also one of the scenarios where if the offensive line was still banged up, I think it'd be really hard to justify paying all the way up for Kamani Vidal, who you guys see is $10,500 in the captain spot. He's $7,000 flex. I guess I should reframe, not pay all the way up for him because he's priced kind of like that upper mid-range. But if you had a scenario where a lot of those guys, say like Joe Alt was out again, and then you'd feel very sketchy about the offensive line blocking, then Vidal would be like, hey, do I really want to pay $7,000 in the flex spot for Vidal on DraftKings? He's $8,800 in the flex spot over on FanDuel. With the offensive line healthier, it's another guy that we have to choose from in the Chargers offense. When we were talking before about pass catchers and how the offense is condensed there, it's kind of the same with Vidal, at least at running back, in terms of now he doesn't have any real competition. I don't really take Nyheim Hines all that seriously as somebody who would potentially get a lot of work today. It just, to me, is more of a question of, do the Chargers ultimately have to run the football? Do they have a lot of success passing the football to where they don't end up running quite as much? So the one good thing about the Chargers, like we talked about before, I don't know outside of these 5 skill position players, I don't really think we need to go dumpster diving at all on the Chargers. That's at least the way I'm looking at it.
Unless, of course, it's Scott Matlock.
Yeah.
Because everybody should be playing Scott Matlock. No, what you should do is put $5. That was my limit. I don't know what your limit is on this, but don't put more than $5 on him to score a touchdown at 55-1. That's what you should do. He has a target this season. I mean, at this point, it's just for the brand. See, Rance gets it. Matlock captain solo ship. Yo, if you ship with Matlock a captain, you are the man. Ray, who's buying Loughy the Matlock jersey for his birthday? I don't think they make them. If you could find one, that'd be sick. And any of you guys are welcome to buy me one. It'd be appreciated, but I don't think they buy them. Another comment too. Fair comment. Sean says, as a Bolts fan, Pipkin sucks donkey balls. Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, your line is so beat up all the time that anyone that backs him up is going to be even worse. He has a 50. Herbert's pressure rate is insane this year. I know some people don't care about this stuff, but I'm telling you, it's nuts. Like, yeah, he's been pressured on 40% of dropbacks this season. That's just insane. He's actually been pretty good under pressure. But I'm with you, Greg, on not really needing to get super cheap here with the Chargers at the very least. Now, if you're playing 150 lineups, you're probably just going to, right? Like, you're going to, I know you have 150 favored here. If you go and sorted by just like cheapest and go to all and sort by salary from the bottom, we're probably going to get some cheap guys here. It's just, and cheap value, I shouldn't say value, but cheap under-owned or low-owned Chargers players and Vikings players. We probably get a little Josh Oliver. That guy's already scored multiple touchdowns this season. And remember, it's Thursday. It's an obscure tight ends day. Last week, we bet Darnell Washington and Freiermuth, and they both got there. I believe it's also tight ends week or National Tight End Week. Or is that just Sunday? Do they just get a day?
I don't know. I also feel, and this could just be me because I'm not educated on National Tight End Day because I really don't give a shit about it, but I feel like somehow it's National Tight End Day every other week. Somebody brings like, hey, I'm watching Red Zone and Scott Hansen's like, it's National Tight End Day. You know, Travis Kelce scores a touchdown. Somebody goes, hey, he scored a touchdown from National Tight. It feels to me like half the games of the regular season are somehow National Tight End Day.
It really, and it is just a day, by the way. They don't get a whole week. They're not as special as some people. I do wonder, like, do you think – I had a guy DM me. He's like, hey, I haven't heard you talk at all about National Tight Ends Day. He's like, did I miss something? And I'm like, what is this? And what are you doing? And then I thought, maybe like our coach is really going to try, because it originated with George Kittle and Jimmy Garoppolo kind of coining it in 2018. Like, do they start forcing the tight ends, the football, good teams? I don't know. We'll talk about it, you and me, tomorrow on the Sim Show. But
yeah, it is. By the way, it is officially this weekend. It is National Tight End Day. So it's not the entire week, to your point. National Tight End Day, Sunday, October 26th. The way I found out about it, I didn't even know this was a thing in terms of like a real actual thing that anybody spoke about at all. But I had a friend watching games at my house maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. And he was like, who do you like to score for National Tight End Day? And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because I just never heard of this being brought up before. He's like, it's National Tight End Day. I've got to use a touchdown boost only on tight ends. And I was like, why does this mean they score more touchdowns? He ended up winning like a crazy parlay. He parlayed like 11 tight ends together. They all scored a touchdown. He won like 30 grand that weekend. And now every year on National Tight End Day, he texts me to ask what tight ends are most likely to score.
I'm asking ChatGPT. Do you have anything that you want to talk about with Vidal? Because to me, it's pretty cut and dry. I just think the volume alone is enough. Actually, let me go back to this. We're getting 7% Hines. That's fine. You know, they're very thin on that roster. But the funny thing is, even Hassan Haskins, despite getting 33% of snaps in each of his last 2 games after Hampton went on the IR, even Hampton wasn't really getting the work. Like, you could look at Vidal last week and say he only got 9 carries, but Greg, they were down very big, very early. And they kind of, you know, they got the run game you had to abandon the run in a spot like that. And you still saw almost 75% or almost 70% of snaps for Vidal. So I don't know. It does feel like Hines, Anthony Separulo. I went to a high school with a guy with Separulo last name. 7% Hines doesn't seem all that crazy to me at minimum salary if you are playing 150 lineups. Ben bet him on the FanDuel $2 million jackpot, touchdown jack, which I think is actually a really good spot. I think he got him at like 11-1. No one's going to bet him for that.
So one other thing too, because I saw somebody bring up in chat that Hines isn't available on DraftKings. He's listed as Naheem Miller Hines. I don't know. Yep. I don't know when he changed his last name or added a second last name or whatever, but that could be what's screwing up your search.
It probably is. I looked it up this morning because I was doing a betting show, and apparently, what is your cousin Nick, Anthony? Is your cousin Nick? Or are you just messing with me? Anyway, like I think it said like, he goes by both of them sometimes, which is actually pretty hilarious. So I don't know, man, but it is Naheem Miller Hines. It is odd. Remember, he was out for a while, right? He was the return guy for Buffalo, and he tore his ACL or he ruptured his Achilles or something like that. So, yeah.
But that was a different guy. That was Naheem Hines that tore his Achilles. Naheem Miller Hines is 2 healthy Achilles.
Right. It's possible. Aaron Jones, 5%. What do you make of him? Because on the strategy show today, we were projecting him out, and now you've got him in, which means that that Mason's price point looks a little bit too high, and Aaron Jones coming back from the IR, right? Like a pretty prolonged injury. Guy's injury prone anyway. I don't know, man. Like, do you go to Jones today and hope? The thing about Jones is that Jones could rip off a 50-yard touchdown reception. That's the thing about him. I know he's getting up there in age. I'm a diehard Aaron Jones guy forever, but like, he can still rip off some big plays in the passing game.
Just because he's priced as if Aaron Jones should be out Jordan Mason, to where I don't really want to have all that much of him. If he was really contrarian, I would feel differently, but Jordan Mason is still over 20% owned at $8,600 over on DraftKings. On the FanDuel side of things, Jordan Mason is $10,600 and he's 21% owned. On a 1-game slate, guys are still going to show up at least to some extent in the Sims, but I'm totally on board with being underweight to the field to Jordan Mason, because even if Aaron Jones isn't going to be getting his full workload in the first game back, it has to hurt Jordan Mason to some extent, and he's simply not priced that way, and the field is still rostering him.
How much is he getting? 21%?
Let's look up the snaps from early in the season for the Vikings. We had, all right, snap counts. So week 1, it was almost a dead 50-50 split. 54% of snaps to Jordan Mason, 50 for Aaron Jones. They overlapped a little bit. Week 2, it was 60% for Jordan Mason, 43% for Aaron Jones. And obviously that was the game that he got injured in. And now we saw last week, Jordan Mason was all the way up to 77% of snaps. I'll say it's something like 65-35 in favor of Mason.
I could see that being the case. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Jones is still not cheap enough. I don't think he's cheap enough. But he's healthy. All it does is throw a wrench into the works. Now, that's a great question. That one. Wait. Get there we go. What about Kamani Vidal with Hines? Hines, good enough pass catcher. I included enough in there for you instead of just good. Yeah, it's not honestly the craziest idea. I get, let me see if I have any. Yeah, I do. Not a lot. But I do have some lineups with Hines and Vidal. That's not the look. Naeem Hines is $200. So if you were to just happen to get, I don't know, a 10-yard score from him, this game does have a pretty low total. It could go under. It's a Thursday. Historically, Thursday nights have been low scoring. Not this year, though. We're coming off like a 66-point game or whatever it was last week. Yeah, I don't actually think it's insane. I won't have a lot of it. Yeah, there you go, Greg. We have 5 of them, and I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, some lineups acceptable. If you're playing one lineup, I wouldn't have that combination in one lineup. But if you're playing, say, like 20 lineups and one of them is Hines and Vidal, cool. I don't have any kind of issue with that. You'll see here out of the top 150 lineups that we have favorited, we've got, like Loughy said, 5 of them ended up with the 2 of them. Who do we have? And Vidal's actually in the captain spot in one of them. The other ones, it's Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert, Quentin Johnston, Justin Herbert. I don't love the idea of having Justin Herbert as the captain in a lineup with both of his running backs. That to me is probably a little bit harder to make sense of because it's like, what's going to happen? You're going to get a big game from 2 running backs, and then the quarterback is going to, like, where do the touchdowns come from Justin Herbert and that kind of scenario? So I'm more apt to play either one of the, in a lineup that is both of the running backs, Vidal and Hines, I'm more apt to have either one of those running backs in the captain spot or one of the pass catchers from the game.
What's our captain exposure look like if you want to clear the filters too? I guess you don't need to. All right. A lot of Addison. Addison's just underpriced. Spags has brought up some good points on Addison, how involved he has been alongside Jefferson. I do think last week, again, the fact that Quinyon Mitchell's out there and Addison was getting some, you could see it coming from a mile away. Like, this guy's going up against the Dory Jackson. He's going to have his way with him, and he did. And then Jackson got hurt. Kelly Ringo came in, and he's worse than Jackson. But Jefferson still had double-digit targets. I mean, I like Jefferson. Ben loves Justin Jefferson tonight. It is a good spot. He's wildly expensive, but rightfully so. Chargers have a good secondary, but they don't have any true shutdown corners. So it is funny to look at this, Greg. It's like our captains very spread out outside of Herbert, who does have legs. That guy can move when he needs to. He's like an opportunistic runner. He'll take off a couple of times and rip off a 30 spot. But Addison, Jefferson, Gadsden, Vidal, Keenan Allen, Wentz. Oh, look at that. That's 6 guys between 8 and 11%. There's no huge stand at captain today.
Yeah, Justin Herbert shows up the most in the Sims and from the field, and this is the type of quarterback that I like to play in the multiplier spot if I'm going to be choosing one, just because Justin Herbert, he has pretty big upside with his legs. So, I do think that he's viable in the captain/MVP spot. I don't really like Wentz as much in the captain/MVP spot. If Wentz has a big game, I think it's so inevitable that he gets outscored by Jefferson and or Addison. So I think the path to Wentz being the optimal multiplier, that's a little bit thinner, but certainly for Justin Herbert, it's viable, especially because Herbert has so many guys to throw the ball to. You could see a game where Herbert throws for 300 plus yards and none of his receivers have over 100 yards. If Wentz throws for over 300 yards, you can feel pretty damn confident that Justin Jefferson or Addison are putting up well over 100.
What's crazy is that Wentz has 2 of his last 3 games, he's thrown for 300 plus yards. I don't know if that's going to continue tonight. It very likely won't. But I also agree with you. Would I rather have Wentz or would I rather have Jefferson? Right? You'd just rather have Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was a great point, Sean. I'll get to this in 1 second. Any thoughts on fading both? I assume you mean
running backs.
Nah, because A is next to Q. I think he means QBs.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he definitely means QBs. Any thoughts to fading both QBs? Let's see. How many lineups do we have that have neither of the quarterbacks?
Man, we talked about that last Thursday, and Flacco went nuts.
Yeah. Both the quarterbacks went nuts.
Yeah. Rodgers had himself a game, too.
All right. So
what Greg's doing, by the way, is going through our Sims run, which simulates the field here and gives us the top simulated ROI lineups. And what he did was he just pulled all, if any, of the lineups of the 150 that we favored that don't have either of the quarterbacks. And it looks like you only got 3 out of 150. Wow.
It's hard to justify, especially because there's so many guys for Justin Herbert to throw the football to. It's kind of funny that one of these lineups do have the Chargers in the captain spot, because I was going to shout out that if I want to get a little bit different and wonky in the captain spot, it feels to me like Carson Wentz is on the verge of totally falling apart. He had some rough looking plays last week against the Eagles. He also took a ton of hard hits. He seems tentative at times to throw the football right now. He's had so many injuries over the course of his career. There's no way to know for sure. I'm just kind of making an observation that I saw. There were some plays where it looked to me against the Eagles, he was a little afraid of getting hit. He was throwing off his back foot. He was trying to avoid getting injured. I think he knows that this is probably the last game that he's going to be in at quarterback. I could absolutely see him just getting steamrolled by the Chargers defense. The defense putting up a few sacks, maybe a defensive touchdown, a couple turnovers or something like that. If I'm being contrarian in the multiplier spot, or just kind of contrarian overall, I like a 1% owned Chargers team in the multiplier.
Yeah, me too. I like I talked about it a lot today. I like the Chargers a lot, man. I bet them on my FanDuel $2 million jackpot, Greg. Chargers defense. Nice. Well, I don't think a lot of people are going to do that. You got to play it like a tournament, right? I mean, you know that. You can't go in and just be like, I like Kamani Vidal and Justin Jefferson. You're going to split with tens of thousands of people. Get weird. But yeah, Wentz did look, when you're staring down the barrel of number 98 in Philadelphia and Jalen Carter's coming at you with a full head of steam because they can't block him, you get the fuck out of the way. I mean, that dude is scary. And Carson Wentz has a bad shoulder and has for multiple weeks. Now it's his non-throwing arm, but you don't want to get slammed on that shoulder. So I'm with you. I also think Wentz is perfectly fine in the flex today. Like, I think he's a very good flex option. Very good. I just don't have a ton of interest in getting overloaded to him at the captain spot. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're saying. So,
yep.
Yeah. Someone else mentioned.
Exact same for me.
Yeah. Someone else mentioned earlier, I don't remember who it was. It might have been Einstein. I'm saying, I want to get to more Jefferson. It's not common that you see him single digits at captain. I thought that was a pretty good point. I know it's Carson Wentz, but you do not often see a 9% Justin Jefferson at the captain spot.
No, not at all. Especially not on a slate where there aren't that many other true pay up options. I mean, we've only got 2 guys on the entire slate priced over 9K. It's not like you're choosing between. Now, Jefferson is very expensive. He's 11.8 in the flex spot, which is 17.7 in the captain spot. So I get that he's a little bit hard to get all the way up to, but you're getting him at 35% owned in the flex. You're getting him at 9% owned in the captain. By the way, also, I like him a lot as a on FanDuel. He's 5% owned in the MVP spot. So I do agree. I have a favorite contrarian multiplier option from both teams. On the Charger side, it's their defense. And on the Vikings, it seems like a not crazy take to have on the surface, because it'd be like, oh, cool, you're really going out on a limb by picking Justin Jefferson. But he's 5% on the MVP spot on FanDuel, and he is 9% owned in the captain spot on DraftKings.
It's a low number. Really low number. Green check mark. Some guy named Luca won King of the Court on Tuesday. I took a shot and it paid off. Yeah, dude, I got a push notification from DraftKings. I didn't even bet King of the Court. I had a push notification and they told me that Luca won and everyone got like $40.
Yeah. So many people picked Luca that you owed DraftKings extra money when he ended up paying out. It was like, congratulations, Luca won. We've deducted $20 from your account.
Yeah, we've debited your account. The crown is yours.
Yeah.
That shit bothers me so bad, man. I got one the other day. They keep trying to get me to get back into the slots, and I refuse to do it because dude, I've had some big slot wins and I've had some big slot losses, and I hung it up a while ago. The other day they were like, we added $2 into your account, like into the slots account, and they keep hitting me with this. They keep getting me to click, and I won't do it. And then they'll be like, you earned a 10% boost, right? That was the one the other day. You earned a 10% boost from like King of whatever. The crown is yours. And it's like, you are so I mean, it's just patronizing. You know, it's even worse when Caesars, do you know what Caesars calls you?
Fish. I don't know. What do they call you?
No, you've never logged into Caesars.
I don't pay attention enough to know like what the terminology is.
They call you Emperor. And I just want to jump through the screen and strangle whoever came up with that idea. Like, you know, these psychological games. Morning, Emperor. Dude, I called customer support once because they couldn't verify my account. And they're like, hello, good day, Emperor. And I almost just hung up on them. Just crazy. Anyway, yeah, Addison, do you agree with me, though? Like, actually, maybe you don't, because I know we both like Ladd. I like Ladd, too. But I kind of just feel like all three of those guys are the same on any given week. And, I mean, last week, I thought Quentin Johnston had the best matchup because Travarius Ward was out for the Titans, and he's an outside corner. And Quentin's always outside. I'm like, this is a great spot for him. He ends up having 2 catches. You know, and Herbert threw 55 times. So I'm done trying to guess. I'm just going to spread my exposure around to these guys.
Yeah, I'm spread out. I'm also underweight to the field to every single Chargers pass catcher, just across the board. I'm underweight to all of them. I'm underweight to Keenan Allen, underweight to McConkey, underweight to Johnston. I'm underweight to Gadsden, at least relative to our ownership projections. Not in a crazy way, but like a few percentage points underweight to all of them. If I had to pick one, somebody put a gun to my head and they say the only way you survive is you have to pick which Chargers pass catcher is going to score the most fantasy points today. I'd be a little confused if I got in that situation, but I would say Quentin Johnston for a couple of reasons. Number one is I do view him as being the highest upside play of all of those guys, but also because he's coming off such a poor game, I think he's probably going to be the lowest owned of all of them as well. So if I had to build a lineup and just pick one, I'm going to go Johnston if it's a single entry lineup and I'm just playing one of them for that reason. I have minimal confidence in any of these Chargers as individual plays tonight, though.
Yeah. Man, that'd be a hell of a sweat. You die if you get the wrong Chargers guy. That'd be tough. I'm just spreading it around now. Have you ever seen The Deer Hunter?
Not for a minute, but yeah.
That Russian roulette scene is one of the wildest scenes. Do you remember that?
Doing that, but instead of it being the actual Russian roulette, it's just Chargers pass catcher roulette.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're wrong, bye-bye, Greg. But yeah, I think the Chargers D looks good. I have no problem getting exposure there. The only other question really is, like, if you're hand building, if someone is building a single lineup, do you go super weird, or are you trying to play it somewhat close to the vest? Like, I don't know the answer there. If you're saying like the $50 single entry, the $15 single entry, you're just throwing a single bullet into something. Like if I'm throwing a single bullet into the milli, I'm going to get super weird. But if I'm single entering into like a 15, Greg, I feel like I'll probably play it pretty standard. I don't need to get super weird. Maybe it's like have Wentz in the flex and Chargers in the flex as well, or something like that. I could see that differentiating you enough. I actually don't mind having Wentz and Chargers in the same lineup. To me, that makes plenty of sense because Wentz is always liable to have some bad turnovers, and I'm fine there. But I don't really know the best ways to get weird. Typically, I have some spots where I think I can get leverage. This is just one of those games where everybody looks so similar. And if you look at our flex exposure, look how tightly grouped our exposures are outside of the quarterbacks and Vidal.
If I'm building one lineup for the lottery, I'm playing the Chargers defense and doing a Chargers onslaught stack 5-1. That's what I would do if I was playing one lineup.
Okay. I like that. Are you willing to run any 5-1 Vikings?
Yeah, I'm not necessarily going out of my way to do it, but I am curious to just look at some of the lineups here.
I'll tell you.
Let's see.
While you pull that up, I'll tell you why I am willing to do a little bit of that. Not a ton, but a little bit, is because they are more concentrated, right? And if the run game doesn't get going, could there just be a scenario where it's like Wentz, Hawkinson, Addison, Jefferson, or something crazy? You know, I think it's definitely a possibility where even if there's decent amount of scoring on both sides, if your one-off for the Chargers ends up being like, say, Vidal or something, or even a McConkey, and McConkey has the big game, I could see it working. And this doesn't even mean Minnesota has to win by 20.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the top lineups we have favored it's more 5-1 Vikings lineups than I was anticipating. There's about 10 of them or so out of our top 150 lineups. So, you know, that's not an insignificant amount. It's more than we had of the no quarterback lineups. It's more than what we had of the double running back lineups from the Chargers. Yep. So of the odd constructions we've talked about so far, this is one that's come up more in the Sims than other ones. And holy shit, are these bots going crazy right now? This is a new one. Keyword on Google. What the fuck is that?
I don't know, man. But my buddies are texting back, like in a group chat, about the Rozier thing. And my one buddy, who's not like a big basketball fan, I play hockey with him. Like, he watches. He's a Sixers fan, but he's not like an NBA fan. He does use Portfolio EV, though, so he got into it a little bit more, which is pretty sweet. But he's like, yeah, man, seeing all these videos of Rozier basically throwing that game and seeing people call it out when it happened is hilarious. And I can't wait to be like, yeah, so I have a buddy who I work with.
Yeah, just send him my post. Send him my
post. I'm going to. It's so good. Yeah, we got 6 minutes. Hopefully you guys are following all of us over on Tails. Just some really awesome stuff we've got going on over there. A ton of bets. I mean, a ton of bets, free DFS content, all of that. You know, follow the people you like. Turn on notifications. What an amazing, honestly, like, add to being a sports fan, to being a betting DFS, whatever fan, to just have this in your back pocket. I use it daily. Like, I go in and I look for sports. You know, I go to my guys like Ben, Matt Gajeski, Jake for college football, for hockey and stuff like that, where, you know, I typically wouldn't be able to do that before. These are people I trust. Greg with the bankroll thread with all of his Portfolio EV bets last year, like 12x the $100 bankroll, just doing a lot of really awesome stuff. So make sure you guys come hang out in there. Give us a follow. Check out the leaderboard. Follow some of the guys who are up top there as well. We're building something great.
Is Rozier on Tails? He could be. We've got if he could beat this Rico case, then maybe we could throw him up there.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That would get great publicity.
Chat too from Malcolm. He wants to know which team am I overweight to for DraftKings. Oh, interesting. Let's see. Relative to ownership, I'm more overweight to the Vikings. Which, I mean, makes sense. If I'm underweight to the field to all of the Chargers pass catchers, the Chargers are the team pulling the more ownership of the two. There's pretty minimal ownership overall going to Justin Jefferson. I think it's easier to get overweight to the Vikings than it is to the Chargers for this game.
Yeah, I bet there's some nuance here, though. I bet you have more 5-1 Chargers than 5-1 Vikings.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So you're overweight, you know, as far as ownership goes, but if you're talking about onslaughts, you're definitely going to have more 4-1, 5-1 Chargers.
If we look here at the players that were most overweight to in the Sims, not making any adjustments, it's the Chargers defense, the Vikings defense, Aaron Jones, and then there's nobody else that really that overweight to. Who are we underweight to the most? Mason, not getting to that much of Jefferson, at least in the flex here without making any adjustments to the Sims. But then you see here also underweight to Gadsden, underweight to McConkey, underweight to Vidal, underweight to Dicker the kicker too. I mean, it's pretty spread out. It's not like there's one team where I'm like, oh, this team looks, significantly better. But on the whole, relative to ownership, it's a little more overweight to the Vikings.
Dirty O. I don't hate that. Stumbled into a Hawkinson captain lineup. He's due for a 2-touchdown game. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's due, but he definitely has been quiet, and he's still. And you know what? I feel like we still don't really know what Hawkinson's true level is at right now, coming off of that injury last year. They just haven't had quality quarterbacking for the most part, But no, I don't hate that. He's cheap too. He's really cheap.
I bet him to score a touchdown at plus 300 today, so I do have that bet slip. But
where'd you get him at 3-1?
On Kalshi.
Yeah,
so,
he was 240 everywhere else, 250 everywhere else.
Yeah, so I like Hawkinson to score a touch. Even like the 240 line, I don't hate. I think it's a pretty good buy low spot for him. But I don't have an uber amount of confidence in him in the open field. I just think relative to his salary for DFS, he's got some touchdown upside. And I like the long shot odds that I was able to find on an exchange like Kalshi. But yeah, otherwise I'm with you. I don't know that he's ever going to be the same again. He hasn't looked the same.
No, he hasn't. Brandon, did the Sims pull any Hines, Patterson, or Matlock? Of course, we pulled some Matlock. Patterson, probably not. We definitely got Hines is our most exposed dirt cheap player.
Yeah, so if we look at the really cheap guys, Hines is in 7% of lineups. We got 1 out of 50 with the legend Matlock. And then who else did he ask about?
Patterson.
Yeah, I don't see any lineups with Patterson.
Yeah, Matlock, I mean, that's clearly a sketchy play here. But hey, he does have 1 reception for 1 yard on 1 target this season.
That's all it takes in Showdown sometimes.
What's that? Yeah, I know, right? Sometimes that's all it is. Hey, man says, anyway, Thielen gets more snaps today for whatever reason. It seems unlikely. That felt like kind of a nostalgia ad for them. I don't know. It seems unlikely that he does. He played 8 snaps. I think he had 1 target last game, if memory serves me right. What do you have? Yeah, 1 target, 2 targets. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe a blowout situation, or Jordan Addison seems to be facing discipline every other week for some reason. If Jordan Addison's disciplined again, that seems to be a real issue for him. He's either getting suspended by the league, or all of a sudden the game starts, Addison isn't on the field. Like, yeah, he's been suspended by the team for half a game because he showed up late to practice or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's actually probably the most likely way Thielen gets work is Jordan Addison suffers some sort of team suspension or gets ejected.
Pretty much. Josh Oliver has 2 touchdowns this year, so maybe there's something there. McGinty, hey guys, love your content. Thanks, man. Tails login sends me to try it one more time, man. Just try logging in. Are you using the app or desktop? The Tails app is sweet. By the way, leave a rating and a review if you guys would be kind enough to do so. Appreciate you for that. But yeah, I don't know if you try. I just logged in a few minutes ago and it was okay. But
here's why you should be using the app, especially during NBA season. There's so much news. Lines move really quickly for NBA. So if you're following something like my bankroll thread, or even just bets from guys like, DK DFS or Matt Williams, whoever else is, or Mitch, who are regularly posting NBA stuff over the course of the season, some of the sharper NBA bets are going to move often pretty quick relative to the lines. And that's where having notifications turned on, having them sent right to your phone really becomes pivotal to getting the best lines for NBA. So that's why I'd recommend, if you can, use the app over the desktop version, turn notifications on. Like Loughy said, if you really enjoyed the experience, leave us a review. The reason for that is it really is going to help us grow the platform, which then in turn is going to help us to create a better platform for you to use. Because if it grows, we are more profitable on it, then we have more flexibility to add extra features. So if you guys are using the app and you enjoy it, take 2 minutes, leave us a 5-star review and leave, like a 1-2 sentence write-up.
Yeah, man. Even if it just says Scott Matlock with an exclamation point, I'd be cool with that. I'd know where you came from, and I would like that even more. As long as it's 5 stars. You guys are the best, man. Appreciate you as always. Greg, we got a show tomorrow morning. We're going to be posting a ton of bets. Basketball, football heading into Sunday, Saturday, all that good stuff. Hockey, you name it. I mean, this is the best time of the year. This is the best time of the year, man. You know, you got October, then you get the November. It's the best time of year with all of this overlap. You can't beat it. Let's enjoy ourselves, win some money tonight. Make sure you're rocking that Stokastic avatar for when you come in first place to get yourself some free stuff. Best rewards program out there. And we will see you back here for the next one. Bye-bye.